Hey Mosaic Souls, welcome back to the channel. And today I really wanted to talk about coming into wholeness to manifest what you desire. And I'm just super excited. I'm on a high right now and I wanted to share this joy and just different insights on manifestation. And the reason why I want to talk about this is because a lot of times we are taught, if you're on the spiritual path, you're taught, various different techniques and strategies and all of the things to manifest what you desire. But one of the pathways that has been anchoring in, and I'm going to share the different pathways. There's many different pathways. I'm going to share like three main ones that have worked for me. But the caveat here is a lot of times we are searching for things outside of ourselves because most of us have grown up with some level of childhood wounds, and we don't recognize that. One, if you haven't had a spiritual awakening, then this is completely off the table. But if you are awakening to the fact that you are divine, having a divine infinite soul, having this temporary human experience, and you start to tap into higher states of existence, or you tap into energy, the source of who you are, that levels of peace and bliss and joy and wholeness and a felt sense of oneness and contentment within yourself. A lot of times what is blocking us from feeling the wholeness or the truth of who we are is the core wounds or beliefs or misperceptions of who we are and who we should be, that usually stem from childhood or even can be adopted in adulthood. And so I want to talk about just the many pathways that we can utilize to come into wholeness, come into oneness, such that we can manifest our desires with ease. A lot of times when we aren't manifesting what we want is because there are misperceptions. If you understand that the universe and in its whole, there are infinite parallel realities existing simultaneously now in this moment. And the only reason why we don't experience what we desire is because our frequency is usually a vibrational match to something that we don't want. And usually what locks in our frequency into what we don't want is a belief system, a perception, or an emotional pattern within us that is anchored within us, that is tied to maybe a belief or something that is out of alignment with what we actually desire, right? So let's say you desire a new house, or you desire a higher paying job, or you desire to live in a specific energy. But growing up, you were told you were never going to be anything. You got to work hard for money. Things don't come easily for you. So you have this maybe need to prove to other people and your self-worth, or maybe you've the opposite of that. You've accepted a defeatist mentality and you don't feel that you're worthy of certain opportunities, so you don't even go after them, or you don't even imagine or put yourself in the vibrational state of dreaming for what you want, because you have accepted a belief that tells you that you're not good enough or whatever, right? Fill in blank, to get this new house or new opportunity or whatever that you want, for example. That's an example. Or let's say, I don't feel like going through examples. We'll be here all day. But basically, just understand that a lot of times we have beliefs and mental perceptions and energetic patterns within us that prevent us from experiencing what we desire. And a lot of times what we don't understand is that you can have a spiritual experience. You can feel bliss, you can feel joy, you can feel the wholeness and the joy of who you are. But it doesn't heal. What I recognize in my spiritual journey, that doesn't heal. Like having spiritual experiences, seeing the God that you are, feeling the wholeness, the oneness with source that you are, does not necessarily heal the childhood core inner wounds that need to be looked at. Usually what happens is life will bring you more experiences so that you can look at those, so that you can heal it and come back into the wholeness of what you want. And so let's talk about the many pathways to coming into wholeness, such that you can manifest your desires with more ease and effortlessness, right? And the first pathway is just stepping into the spiritual experiences of I am divine, I am one with source, I am a child of God, whatever terminology resonates with you. But it starts to come online. That starts to come online when you are tapped into and you start to contemplate who you truly are, right? When a lot of times you say, I am divine, or you are divine. But a lot of times we don't necessarily sit down and contemplate. We are usually on our phones all the time, addicted to the phone, addicted to various different things. And we don't really sit down and take time to be at peace and sit down to really contemplate who is it that we really are, right? Who are you really beyond just this fleshly earth suit, right? To be able to take time to look at the mind, right? To meditate, to look at how the mind, brings up thoughts, how the emotions come and go, right? Who is that awareness part of you? Who's that observer part of you? And the fact that you can observe the observer, right? So creating spaciousness within yourself to start to observe the different mechanisms that are happening within your human psyche, within your human body, physical body, within your emotional body, and all those things. And then also then being able to then bring a level of awareness to the not only your human apparatus, but the source, the spirit apparatus, right? Recognizing that you are more than just the human body. If you can be aware of your thoughts, if you can be aware of your emotions, then that means that you aren't those things, right? Most humans on the planet are completely attached to their thoughts, completely attached to their emotions, completely immersed into the stories of their lives, completely immersed in who they think they are and who they should be based upon somebody else's blueprint, right? But when you've had a spiritual awakening, you start to see that those things fall away, and then you as a divine being can then step in and create new stories, right? Create a new narrative, right? And so the I am divine pathway is really creating that spaciousness within yourself to really nurture more awakening experiences, nurture more divine experiences, and nurture the knowing of who you truly are in a deep way, so that permeates your day-to-day life. Most of us are just overly tapped into internet, cell phones and all these things, that we don't give ourselves spaciousness and time enough to sit down and contemplate who we truly are. If you're not just a human being, then what are you? Right? And I can just tell you, but it's like you have to start to experience this for yourself, right? That you are a fractal of source, that you are a soul having this human experience, that this body is temporary, right? And it's not from a place of fear, like death is going to happen for all of us, but it's from a place of excitement and passion, because you decided to incarnate on this planet to have this human experience, right? And so when you start to approach life from that place, like you move into a place of peace, of joy, of serenity, of all is wellness, right? Of safety, of love, right? Of abundance, because you know that you are divine, right? And it's not because I deserve to be divine and, everybody else isn't divine. No, everybody else is divine, but most of us aren't walking in our sovereignty, aren't moving from a place of sovereignty, aren't moving from a place of divinity, right? So that's one pathway. It's just I am divine pathway is giving yourself the spaciousness and the curiosity and the contemplation to want to explore your divinity. One of the things that you can do is simply to wake up in your morning and say, who am I? And look at the mind, how it might come up with thoughts. Oh, I am, African woman, Nubian woman, blah, 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 fill in the blank. And it gives you all these things. But then you say, that's interesting. I can notice these thoughts. Who am I beyond my thoughts? Who am I beyond my emotions, right? And moving into that and the different states of awareness that can bring, right? And then you can ask yourself or contemplate, oh, I am source. I am a soul having this human experience. I am one with the same energy that hung the planets in the cosmos, that hung the stars in the sky. I am one with the same energy that is beating my heart without my help, right? And you just start to contemplate your deeper existence, right? And when you contemplate that, and that becomes a day-to-day contemplation, like, ooh, that means that if I'm one with source, then that means that I also have manifestation powers like source, right? And you start to recognize how powerful you truly are and start to drop away from societal conditioning. A second pathway is what I like to call healing your perceptions, right? A lot of times we don't recognize that we're already whole. It's not that we're not whole. It's just most of us don't see that we're whole because we've been conditioned to believe otherwise, right? So most of us are walking around with a lot of debris or a lot of fog in our minds, in our hearts, and our emotional patterns that prevent us from experiencing our divinity, experiencing our wholeness. And that shows up in, belief in lack, belief in being unlovable, belief in, having feelings of guilt and shame, belief in not being enough or not being worthy, just the core wounds that show up, like the abandonment wound, the trust wound, the guilt wound, and the neglect wound are usually the core wounds. And I definitely encourage you to read the book. What is the book? Heal Your Inner Child by Clarke, where she kind of walks you through healing your inner child. But those core wounds a lot of times are really shaping our adulthood, are really shaping how we see our reality. When you have a core wound or belief that you are not enough, or that you have to work hard in order to be enough, or that you have to earn love, or that you have to earn money, you start to understand why your life has to play out in reflection of these beliefs, right? When you have these core beliefs, when you have these core thought patterns in the core of who you are. Another good movie that I thought was really good was the first movie, Inside Us or something. I think it's a Disney movie or something, where they have all these different emotions or whatever. And in the movie, I'll get to the point, they have this like below the deck, the emotions can then like put core memories in the little girl's belief system, which creates her core tree of beliefs, right? And so most of us are walking around with core beliefs and core thought patterns and things of that nature that shape our reality, that shape our perception, and that shape our ability to manifest or not allow what we desire into our lives. And so when you recognize that we have these core wounds, we have these beliefs that are actually clouding our perception, that is actually creating debris in our perception. Once we start to heal away and peel back the layers of these core wounds and getting to the core wounds of I am not enough. Of course you are enough. You are divine. You are source. You are God made manifest in human form. How could you not be worthy? But you can say that until you're blue in the face, but until you get to the core wounds, until you see where they come from, maybe you remember a time where your parents, maybe they were doing the best they could, but they felt overwhelmed and they dismissed you in a moment. Or maybe you did have parents who were absentee parents, or they neglected you in some way, or they made you feel less than, or they told you that being a certain way isn't okay, right? You have to be strong, right? You can't feel your emotions. I know that was something I mentioned in a previous video that I experienced, where it's not okay for you to be an emotional being. It's not okay for you to experience your gamut of emotions. Only this version of you is okay. And so like healing those core wounds and making one of the things that I like to do and that's anchoring in for me now is welcoming all emotions, honoring my emotions by saying that they are welcome. Each emotion literally is an expression of the divine. Think of that, like energy in motion. It's divine, right? So even not saying that you go do something with that emotion, but allowing yourself to feel the breadth of different emotions that we come to experience on this planet is a divine human experience, right? And so giving yourself that spaciousness to say that you are safe, you are loved, you are enough just as you are, right? You don't have to earn love. You don't actually have to earn money. And that's another one that is really anchoring in for me now. Wow, it's very interesting because on our planet, we're taught that from the time you're a child, you grow up, you get a job, you do X, Y, Z. But there's so many stories, so many fascinating stories of people manifesting abundance where they didn't fucking lift a finger. Excuse my language. Where they didn't even freaking lift a finger, right? And so when you start to understand who you truly are and really get rid of a lot of this debris, get rid of the fog that is clouding your perception of who you truly are, right? You can say I'm divine till you're blue in the face. You can say that I am, source made manifest in human form till you're blue in the face. You can say I am soul until you're blue in the face. But until you heal these core wounds, a lot of your beliefs and the way that you approach life is going to be very different, right? You're going to approach life from a place of fear. You're going to approach life from a place of I am not enough. You're going to approach life and have patterns that no longer serve you. Like different, another thing that's very popular that's being talked about now is attachment styles, right? Having, dismissive avoidant or fearful avoidant or anxious attachment styles, right? Why do we move from these spaces? Because we don't really feel the wholeness of who we truly are. We don't feel whole. We don't feel the godliness that we truly are. So we inadvertently push away relationships, or we avoid, relationships, or dismiss relationships, or maybe we anxiously attach onto relationships. Don't leave me. I'm not enough. I need you to validate me, right? And so we are searching outside of ourselves for validation, or pushing away things because we don't want to get hurt, or all that stuff. And there's this push-pull type energy that we either have in our energies. And so a lot of times we are not manifesting what we want is because these core wounds and these core beliefs and misperceptions of who we are and what we have come to experience on this planet is really shaping how our reality is playing out, right? And so when you understand that there is literally infinite possibilities and that there are infinite parallel realities that exist simultaneously in this moment, what for me is happening is that it unlocks like the plethora, a smorgasbord of infinite possibilities that you have at your service. If you've ever, another sort of visual for those of you who are visual people like me, the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once, where the lady was literally tapping into multiple parallel versions of herself in that movie, right? Another kind of scene that happened, it was in the Men in Black. I can't remember which one it was, but it was where, what's his name? Phoenix or something? But he was like the guy that could like tap into like multiple parallel realities and see all these different parallel realities that could happen simultaneously. But it's like that concept, understanding that this is the way that our holographic universe actually works, and how we tap into what we desire is this third pathway, which is like focusing on your desired reality, utilizing visualizations, having new self-talk, walking meditations, and moving into the energetic frequency. And when I talk about energetic frequency, I just simply mean the emotional frequency of what you desire. What would it feel like to have that new house? What would it feel like to have that new job, or that new career, or that new lover, or whatever? What would it feel like to birth the child that you've always wanted, or whatever it is that you're wanting to manifest in your life, right? Moving into the vibrational frequency of that, what you want, is what is allowing you to vibrationally move yourself there. But a lot of times we can, like what I've noticed is that when a lot of times most of us start there, we start from the focusing on your desired reality, moving into the mental and emotional space of that, right? And I think that's very like scripting. You hear about scripting, or things of that nature, or affirmations and things of that nature. All of these are different pathways, right? And I think those are very beautiful, and I don't think there's a right or wrong way. But for me, in my own experience, I feel like those have been sort of top-down approaches, when you approach it from the sort of like, oh, I'm going to visualize what I want. And I think those do work. Like I've definitely manifested things where visions have come to me, or I visualize things and it manifests easily. But I find that for me, standing in the knowing of who you truly are, the wholeness, and there is no right or wrong pathway. I feel like if the manifestation and the visualization of what you desire that's what most resonates for you, then take that pathway. If the clearing away the gunk and the healing your perceptions is something that more so juicy resonates for me, I find that depending on what I'm working through in my life, I'm using various different methods, right? But what's anchoring now for me more than ever is understanding that I am divine, and really anchoring that in and letting that be the core of who I am. Like, most of us want freedom. Most of us want to feel free, feel whole, feel loved, feel enough, feel worthy, feel, joy, fill in the blank, right? And a lot of times we don't recognize that. What is that? What you are seeking is always seeking you, because what you are seeking is you, right? When you're seeking love, when you're seeking joy, when you're seeking abundance, when you're seeking worthiness, when you're seeking validation, all that stuff is you, right? Like, you are whole. You are source made manifest in human form. So if you are a part of source, how could you not be whole? How could you not be love? How could you not be abundance? How could you not be enough, right? How could you not feel safe? How could you not be safe, right? And when you understand that and you release, the abandonment or the trust issues or the guilt or the neglect or the shame, or the I'm not enoughness or I'm not worthy or I'm worthless or I'm unlovable, all those things that sort of play out in our life experiences, you start to recognize that, oh, dang, I was taught that I'm not whole. I was taught that I have to do things in order to be loved. I was taught that I had to work hard, or I had to fill in the blank in order to be seen as valuable, right? Innately, as a divine infinite being, that's your value. Your value is that you exist, right? Your existence is value, right? And so most of us are approaching life from a place of having to prove our value, having to earn our value, having to earn our love, right? Having to earn respect and all those things, right? And it's like, no, when you hold the truth of who you are, the wholeness of who you are innately divine. You are innately deserving of respect. You are innately deserving of love. You are innately deserving of abundance. You are innately deserving of prosperity. This is your natural divine birthright, right? And I can't remember the book that I used to read but he used to really have some really good sayings in there. I think it's like the Abundance book. It's like a small little green book. I can't remember the author. If I remember, I'll put the link in the description box to that book. But it was a really great book that it was given to me as a gift, and it was like the little abundance book. But it had kind of a religious tint to it for those of you who aren't anti-religion. But it talked about God and godliness and understanding. But if you can get past that and just get to the core of the message, it has some really great nuggets in it. But just studying other, authors or, spiritual speakers as well, to really start to anchor in these new beliefs into your life, understanding how innately you are divine, innately you are worthy just by your very existence. You know what I mean? And when that starts to tap in online, it's like, how could you not manifest what you desire if you are connected to source, right? If you have similar powers to source, if you have effortless manifestation powers to source, it's like what you desire is done. Like, it's already done. And I've talked about that several times on this channel, but I think approaching it from a different way and healing these different aspects of us allows us to wipe away the debris, wipe away the gunk that's preventing us from seeing our divinity. Most of us don't see our divinity. Most of us don't wake up feeling whole. Most of us don't wake up feeling enough. Most of us don't wake up feeling loved. And so we are always on this rat race of chasing things outside of ourselves in order to be loved. Now, am I saying that taking action or pursuing what you love to do or doing the things that you love to do is wrong? No. Action is inevitable. That's why we came on this planet. We came here to explore life and to experience the gamut of human emotions, the gamut of human experiences that are possible, because it's fun, right? But most of us don't approach life from that perspective. Most of us approach life experiences like, oh, I got to do this or something bad will happen kind of energy, versus, ooh, I get to do this, or ooh, I get to explore this, like a child, playing on a playground, like, ooh, what do I want to play with next, right? I would much rather most of us to start to approach life from that way, just because it feels better. It feels good to feel good. It feels good to enjoy life. It feels good to explore the juiciness of life, the juiciness of exploration, the juiciness of what brings us joy, and from a place of fearlessness, not because and not from a place of, oh, if I don't do something bad will happen. One of the core things that it has been anchoring in for me is just really understanding that I don't have to earn anything. I don't have to earn someone's love. I don't have to earn someone's respect. I don't have to earn money. I don't have to earn nothing, because I'm divine source having this human experience. And most of us will say, Rachel, what do you mean you don't have to earn money? Because most of us are living in fear. We have been taught. If you grew up with the blueprint, think about it. If you are source made manifest, if the all is mine, if the all is mine, I always flub up that saying, but the universe is mental, right? And if you understand that from here, from your thought process, everything is created in this holographic reality, and the universe literally has to reflect to you back to your beliefs. So if you grew up with the blueprint that you have to earn in order for your well-being to be assured, right, then that's going to be your blueprint, right? But what if you grew up with a different blueprint, that money flows effortlessly to you, that you always get what you want, that everything that you desire is effortlessly? And I have countless stories. I can go down the list of stories of people who just manifest. Something just happened to me last week. I was helping out an old lady that I help out often. And I took her grocery shopping, and this lady just walked up to her and paid her $300 grocery bill just because she wanted to. She was like, "Oh, I just felt it in my heart that I just wanted to, be a blessing to someone." And she paid the lady's grocery bill, right? And I just was like, "Oh, look at that! Look at how effortlessly she just manifested abundance, right? She didn't even have to come out the pocket for her groceries, right?" And so it's just like we always think that that's just one example of many examples of how abundance can flow to us, right? Now, yes, money will flow to us maybe through people or gifts or various different things. I'm not saying that we don't need money, but what I'm saying is that abundance can flow without you having to effort all the time in order to get it, right? It's a different perspective when you have that as your new blueprint. But if you have this blueprint that I have to work hard for money, or I have to earn money, or I have to do things in order to make my well-being okay, then of course that's going to be your reality. I know people who don't. I remember, when I did rideshare for so many years, I remember picking up multimillionaires, people who retired at the age of 25 because they invested in some stock market, it blew up, and now they're set for the rest of their lives. I have met so many people who were just good and they didn't really do anything in order to make sure that their well-being is okay. But most of us have this blueprint that we have to, and it works, for colonialization and for those, in power and things of that nature. But this is sort of like the free your mind Neo kind of wake up call for those of you who are ready to dive into that. This invitation is only there if it resonates. It might not resonate, and that's fine. But I'm just inviting you to start to peel back these core wounds, peel back these core beliefs in your life, right? When you start to excavate and go through the things, and pain is one of the biggest lessons I feel like, that we still learn through on our planet, sadly, but it's okay. It's part of our journey. But, going through heartache, going through pain of losing a job, losing a loved one, losing family members, losing whatever. Usually pain in some way is definitely a huge opportunity. If you've ever experienced pain in some way where something didn't go as you expected, utilize that as a gateway, as a doorway to help you. Oh, well, if I'm feeling pain, then there's a belief, there's a misperception here that I'm not source, that I'm not God, that I am God incarnate, right? That I am not one with that which hangs the stars in the sky, that I am not whole, that I am not abundant, that I am not loved, right? There's a perception, there's a misperception when I'm feeling pain, right? And that's okay, because we came to here to experience the gamut of human emotions, right? Like that saying that I said, all emotions are welcome here, right? We came to explore sadness, the gamut of human emotions, on the emotional wheel, right? But it's recognizing when you feel these denser emotions, these I don't like calling them negative, because then that brings up this energy of like feeling that we should swat our emotions away or try to shove them under a rug. And I feel like as a society, we've done enough of that. So what I like to call them, this is just a gamut of human emotions on this emotional wheel. The emotional tapestry is more so what I like to think of our emotions as a tapestry of different energetic frequencies and colors and things of that nature that we get to experience. I really like that movie, Inside Us. I think that's what it's called. But where the emotions are different little personalities and different things. You had joy and anxiety and all this other stuff, right? And so they're here, they're divine expressions of the divine, right? And so when we embrace all of our emotions and start to excavate and peel back the layers of these belief systems and the core wounds, the core beliefs that shape our reality, and start to place in new beliefs, then we start to effortlessly manifest, because we live in a mirror reality, right? Because the universe is reflecting back to you your belief system. If you grew up believing that you get whatever you want effortlessly, there's so many things, where people have manifested shopping sprees or manifested a new building, or someone, like I had an uncle who literally manifested a whole new house. I manifested a whole new house, like things of that nature. You start manifesting things effortlessly, not even with your mind, like you didn't even have to put that much effort in. Like, you just have to show up and say yes, thank you, right? But we don't believe in these so-called miracles because a lot of us have core wounds or core beliefs that make it impossible for us to make miracles our day-to-day expectations, right? I remember I was driving back from Florida one time because I came back from vacation, and I remember my higher self, my divine team, was just saying to me, miracles are really just day-to-day explorations. Like for you humans, you think that miracles are just like once in a lifetime type thing. But from looking at it from the God lens, which I'll talk about in a second, looking at it from the God lens, you start to understand that miracles are just like, that's duh. Like, of course you would effortlessly manifest what you desire when you're connected to the truth of who you are. When you connect to the source being, God being that you are, of course you would manifest effortlessly, because that's your nature to create. You are a creator being. You naturally effortlessly create things in your life because that's who you are, right? And so most of us are looking at life through the human lens versus the God lens of which we are, which is the last thing that I wanted to talk about. So most of us, when we look at things, there's two different things that you can look at life, right? And the two different ways is usually through our human perception, when we're looking at our lives through our human selves, versus the God perception, our God selves, right? Through the lens of your God self, right? Your higher self, whatever you want to call it, right? And most of the time, when we're looking through the lens of our human perception, and there's nothing wrong, I'm not saying that human perception is wrong. So I'm not saying one is better than the other. I'm just saying that start to embrace more of looking at things through the God lens, because it'll help you give a more wholesome and balanced view and allow you to manifest with more ease, right? But going back to the human perception, when you look at things through the human lens, often we think, this is something new that I'm anchoring in my life, because the spiritual teacher that I work with was saying, boundaries. A lot of times we think about having boundaries or protection because we think that we have to guard ourselves from being harmed, right? Because from a human perspective, you're fallible, you're prone to disease, you're prone to harm, you're prone to things going wrong, right? So from a human perspective, you are prone to death, right? We always go to that, but death, right? Usually we're afraid to do something because we'll die, right? Usually that's the main reason why we fear doing something or not doing something, because we feel like it's going to lead to death to some degree, right? Versus integrity and being in alignment. So boundaries versus being in integrity and alignment, right? To me, integrity and alignment is more looking at things from the God lens, right? Looking at things from, but I feel like the human lens and like having certain things helps to inform your God lens as well, because you are having this human experience, right? And so when you think about, I need to set up a boundary, or I need to protect myself, versus I am always innately safe, I am always loved, it's a different energy, right? And there's nothing wrong. I feel like wherever you are, you have to be there. And that's going to inform you to moving into a more expanded state of view, right? When you are always innately safe, when you are always innately love, joy, you can sort of explore life experiences with innate curiosity and things that feel in integrity with you, versus not integrity, things that feel in alignment with who you are, your integral state of being, versus not being in integrity, right? Like, you don't make decisions. Like, let's say in relationships, you always have a tendency to attract someone who's dismissive, avoidant, or fearful, avoidant, or the opposite, maybe someone who's always anxiously attached or something, right? Whatever that is, that energy that you're attracting is a lot of times because we aren't in alignment with who we truly are. And so we don't necessarily we usually attract people who mirror back to us things that we need to heal in ourselves, right? And so it's a beautiful exploration, but when you're moving it from the God lens of integrity and alignment, you can start to see these patterns versus sort of getting enmeshed or immersed in people, or pushing away people because you're fearful of them hurting you, or trying to hold on and grasp onto them because you need validation from them, or pushing them away because you're afraid they'll hurt you, or whatever. You start to dismiss those parts of yourself because you can say, oh, this is here for my growth. I can explore this relationship from a place of love and reverence and wholeness, because this is I am divine and whole, and so is this person as well, right? If we're talking about relationships, let's talk about through the human lens of beliefs of being unsafe. You are always safe, versus the God lens. You are always safe. That others are here to harm or hurt you, or really trigger your core wounds. Really, when you understand from the God self, which is anchoring in for me now, is no one can truly ever harm, hurt, or break you, right? You are one with source, right? But from a human perspective, you can be physically hurt, you can be, mentally hurt, emotionally hurt, but those things are temporary. Those aren't really who you are. So from the God lens, the source being that you truly are, then no one can ever hurt or break your soul, right? Like, you won't break my soul, right? Like, because you are source, right? But from a human perspective, you can be hurt emotionally, you can be hurt physically, you can be hurt mentally, right? But those parts of you that are hurt or broken or triggered are there for you to move into greater expansion of the whole version of you, right? So when you do feel broken, when you do feel hurt, when you do feel like life is not going and you had a blow up moment, those are opportunities and nuggets for you to expand into your God self, right? And utilize those moments as moments. Oh, I'm having a shitty experience. This is a moment of expansion. I wonder what this is here to teach me. I wonder how I can come out expanded versus being like, why is this happening, and pushing it away, right? We can take those opportunities as opportunities for growth and expansion, to helping us to see, wipe away, clear the lens, so that we can see from our God selves, from our true selves, right? Another one is going to the core wounds of guilt, shame, guilt, abandonment, trust, and neglect. You can move into your God self, your God lens of you are whole, you are worthy, you are safe, you are loved, you are enough, just as you are. Not you are whole and loved after you've earned $100,000. You are whole and loved after you've gotten into shape. You are whole and loved after you fixed your hair, or after you've gotten the nose job, or after you've whatever, right? Fill in the blank, all the things that we do to become whole, to become worthy, to become safe, to become loved, right? No, you are whole just as you are in this moment now. Now, does that mean don't lose weight? Does that mean don't get the $100,000 or get the career or buy the house? No, I'm not saying that. But let that be a natural evolution from your soul beckoning you into that experience versus, oh, I have to do this in order to be, right? No. Innately, you are whole, worthy, safe, loved, and enough, just as you are. Let that be your new knowing. And that heals those core wounds, and I'll put some links below in the description from different articles and books that I think might be helpful in terms of doing that inner childhood work and stuff like that. And then looking, so that you can check that out as well. But looking at the patterns as well, right? Looking at what patterns are no longer serving you, right? That the attachment styles and things of that nature, the avoiding, the pushing. Usually our patterns come in the form of holding on to something or pushing something away, right? And I'm not just talking about like in relationships, but like, let's say holding on to the idea that, I'm going to be obese or something because everyone in my family is obese, or I'm going to have diabetes at some point because everybody in my family has diabetes, or high blood pressure and stuff like that. Holding on to this belief system because it's a societal, it's a familial sort of pattern, right? Pushing away something, always avoiding, intimate relationships, or avoiding opportunities that could be coming your way because you don't feel worthy, right? We're usually pushing away or holding on to something. So where in your life are you pushing something away? Look at that in your life. What are you avoiding, right? Because that's an area of contention, or an area that if you're ready, you don't always have to be ready. There is no rush in this, right? Understand, flow with what feels good and let go of what doesn't, and go in your own divine timing, right? But anytime you're pushing away something or holding on to something, grasping onto something, it's usually something there to show you that you don't see your divinity in that thing, right? Whether it's you're pushing away money, or you're pushing away relationships, or you're holding on to relationships, or holding on to money, or holding on to something, grasping or pushing away. When you find that energy, it's usually a point of opportunity for you to see your divinity more clearly, right? Your divinity isn't yet clear in that area of your life yet, right? And when your divinity isn't clear, it blocks your ability to manifest what you actually desire. So let me know if that resonates with you guys in the comments below. I hope this has been helpful. Remember, all emotions are welcome. To invite and honor your emotions as they arise, that they are part of your human experience. They are divine, sacred expressions giving you clarity on what you're here to heal and move into the wholeness of who you truly are. and understand that there are many pathways to coming into wholeness, to manifest more of what you desire. The three that I mentioned is the I am divine pathway, which is basically where you're making spaciousness, creating spaciousness within your day-to-day life to contemplate your divinity on a day-to-day basis, such that that becomes more expanded and you start to feel your divinity on a day-to-day basis. The second one is clearing away the debris, clearing away the gunk, healing your perceptions, and that is really connected to the core wounds that I mentioned as well. And then the third way is just focusing on what you desire, focusing on your desired reality, visualizing it, seeing it, feeling the emotions that are connected to that reality of you living in your dream house, of you having your dream partner, of you having your dream career, of you owning that business that you want, or of you traveling, or whatever that is. Feeling the emotions and the joy and the contentment and the peace that it brings, and feeling excited about it, feeling not necessarily excited, the peace, whatever emotions it elicits in you on a day-to-day basis, versus, always contemplating what you don't want to be happening, always replaying the emotions and the mental movies of what you don't want to be happening, right? Because whatever you're projecting and mentally, emotionally focusing on, like whatever you mentally project and add the emotion, it literally is your way of manifesting and bringing it, that parallel reality, to your life. So focusing on what you want versus what you don't want, visualizing, feeling the emotions of what you don't want, such that you are attracting that into your life instead, right? So those are really the three main pathways that I see. And then there are various other techniques that help you to do those things, like affirmations, affirmations versus affirmations, scripting, writing what you desire down, recording what you want and playing it back to yourself over and over, having a loop, having different, visualization, or creating a vision board, and different techniques that you can utilize to doing that, lighting a candle, burning sage, putting money out on your altar for your ancestors, invoking different gods and goddesses, to invoke different energies, to access different energies so that you can manifest what you want. All these are different tools to do the same thing, right? But it's essentially, I'm very simplistic in the way that I approach life, so I usually just go to the very simple ones. But to me, I feel like the core of where we are moving into as a society is moving into the wholeness of who we are, moving into the I am divine, moving into our sovereignty, moving from that divine sovereign place such that you manifest with ease. Moving from a state of wholeness is, I feel like, the ultimate sort of like 1-2 punch, like, because it's just like, that's the place that you're moving from. Like when you're whole, it's like you don't even need it. Like it's already done for you. And when it's already done, that means that you attract it that much quicker, because you're not offering any resistance. There's no energy or static in your energy that is preventing what you desire to flow to you with effortless ease. So I hope this has been helpful. I'm super excited to bring this to you guys. I hope this has been enlightening to some degree. These are just things that I'm learning, that I'm integrating into my own life. And I just wanted to share this in hopes that it will help you in some way, form, or fashion. As always, flow with what feels good and let go of what doesn't, because you are divine. You are a divine being, and your soul knows exactly what you've come to explore and experience while on this planet. So remember, what you conceive is what you'll receive, what you expect is what you'll get, and however you feel is what will become real for you. So vibrate higher, and I will chat with you guys next time. Peace, love, and light.